In this movie, I'll be showing you how texture from Devious Machines can be used to create this interesting hip-hop groove from this very simple 808 beat. And I'll also show you some of the new additions in the latest update, version 1.5, such as the sample import feature. Soloing the kick then, and turning texture on now. You can hear I get noise overlaid with my kick, following its level precisely, as you can see in the dynamics section here. Before looking at that though, let's first choose a different sound, as I'm after something to make my kick nice and bassy. There are loads of different samples to choose from, in various categories. Going to bass though, so some great tuned as well as tuneless options. You can adjust the level in the top right, and the pitch of the sample just below. With a mix dial for setting the blend between the unprocessed kick and my extra bass texture. So I've gone for this beats one. I've taken it down by a few semitones so it's in tune with my kick, and setting it to fully wet for a minute so I can adjust the decay if I want it to fade out a bit slower than the kick. Or use hold to have it sustain at full volume, which is really useful. And if I like, also modulate parameters other than the volume with the envelope, like the pitch. With an LFO above, also offering some nice pitch mod effects, which can be awesome for this kind of thing too. It's sounding great now, but is a bit clean. So I'll add a second texture and choose one of the vinyl effects this time. Changing the envelope if I want it to be a bit more sustained maybe. But with this one, I'll have it really low in the mix. So a nice rough booming bass now, compared to my original clean kick. For the snare, what I'll do is import my own snare into texture to layer on top, so I can show you the new sample section here. You can click and navigate to a sample, or just drag one in. So now we're using the imported sample instead of one of the presets. I'll set it to trigger instead of loop though. And again, there's the envelope, so I can have the level a bit different from the snare on the track. And there's compression built in as well for fattening up samples. As well as filtering for shaping the frequencies. And although we're working in audio trigger mode right now, so texture is triggered by the snare on the track, I can switch it to repeat mode, where the sample can be triggered over and over, with whatever speed I set. Which can be nice for creating faster rhythms and delay type effects. Alternatively, there's a granular option for adding grain delay for glitchier effects. With a random setting as well, which is similarly glitchy, playing random grains of the sample. so we can take the layer in quite a few different directions, depending on the effect we want to make. And for the hat, I'll go for something a bit more obscure, like sound effects. And as it's a repeating sound, although texture applies a bit of randomness to the sample already, I can add a bit more movement by filtering it and then having the filter cutoff modulated by the LFO. And I'll have this one set mostly wet, with the original hat just adding a little bit more to the transient. And if there are any frequencies in either the hat or the SFX signal that I want to adjust, then there are EQs for both. So I could take a bit of the highs out of the hat. Cool. And I've done exactly the same sorts of things for the last two drum sounds now, with the rim overlaid with some metallic FX, and the cymbal replaced with a hat sample I've dragged in, set to repeat mode so it's playing a fast pattern, and with the LFO modulating the pitch up and down. So here's the whole groove without texture once again. And now with. So a good example of how much texture can transform very simple sounds into much richer, highly textured ones.